Not a lot of racing action over last weekend. Rain cut Atlanta short, but there was a lot of news including a big shakeup in Formula One.
Indeed.
Indeed, we're gonna show off our new merchandise. We went shopping, got a bunch of new swag here. So check that out. But this is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Fluck.
I'm Eric Richardson.
And I'm drinking an unknown liquid inside this coffee mug.
That mug looks pretty good. I
It
need to
does.
grab one.
I changed the design after I got it, where it's just kind of like you've got this one big logo kind of in the center. And I changed it actually that there's two smaller logos on like each side of it now.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I clean actually would before we started this, I was playing in the store and push some new products. So check out our store. We got a lot of good stuff. But
Yeah.
yes, this is beer in here. I'm drinking beer out of a coffee mug because why not? There's no rules anymore. This is 2023. Rules are gone.
And we're only halfway through the year, but we updated our jerseys too.
We did finally. The 2023 jersey finally made it out in July. I think this is on our to-do list that was due back in like February or January.
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever. It is what
But
it is.
it was a sample. We got a little bit of work to do on it,
Yeah.
and we'll be ready to go in 24.
There you go. So yeah, we went with the back in black, I guess. Hopefully ACDC doesn't sue me for saying that, but going black this year on the jersey. So good quality stuff actually. This is an off-brand shirt, but it's good. It's the same shirt as last year, just this year it's black instead of white.
And part of it, we learned how to adjust some things. So we're getting better with Printful and
But yeah, we're really, we had a little bit of an issue with Printful, or we thought we had an issue with Printful, and it turned out it was actually the web hosting's fault, but it is what it is. But Printful is really cool. Like you can go in and make your own merchandise. We actually write a little bit about it either on fracingonline.com or over at stadiumscene.tv. But you come in, you make your own merchandise, you push it to, the easiest way to do it, the cheapest way to do it is set up a WordPress site on web hosting and design your product, put your logos on there. There's hats, like we made these hats in Printful last year. This hat actually got discontinued, which is a bummer because I liked it. There's a similar hat, but not quite the same that came out this year. So I'll have to take really good care of this and not destroy it. Good stuff, really, a lot of good stuff. We got AirPod cases. You can make a yoga mat if you really want to. You can start our collection of FR Racing yoga mats because, again, it's 2023. Why not? So, as we alluded at the beginning, a lot of news this week. Anything happened in Formula One?
Driver got fired. Danny Ricciardo is back in a ride, and Checo's on a hot seat.
Yeah, well, I think Ricciardo getting placed into AlphaTauri probably saves Checo the rest of the year, I would guess.
And it helps that AlphaTauri is like Red Bull Junior.
Yeah, and from the point standings, you got Red Bull Senior 1, Red Bull Junior, not so
0.
much.
Or what? No, 2 points.
2 points. Yuki got 2. Amazing how just like so totally different the two teams are, despite the fact that essentially they're cousins, basically.
How does Ricciardo feel going into maybe the slowest car on the field?
I mean, it can't be any worse than what McLaren was doing to him. I mean, they put him in a very bad spot last year, and like the man who always smiles looked pretty sad, like actually looked sad out there, which was shocking. But seems to have found himself. He ran a test over the weekend, and his time
put himself front row.
Yeah, I would have put him front row next to Max. Okay, so I have to ask. I don't want to sound all conspiracy theory here. This has happened before in not Formula One that I'm sure it probably has, but this has definitely happened in other series where they want the driver out. And do you think the fact that Checo hasn't made it into Q3 in what now, 5 straight races he's missed?
It's a lot. I
Yeah,
think
it's like
5 or
5.
6.
I think it's 5 straight that he's missed Q3. But then he comes out there and he runs all the way to the front, or close to the front. Do you think he's being sabotaged?
I've mentioned that. Is how do you go from just dominating with Verstappen to all of a sudden you can't even make it to Q3, and some of them you don't even get out of Q1.
And then race day comes in and shoots right up through the field.
Yeah, he came all the way back from the bottom.
What did he finish, 6th last weekend? I forget. But I mean, he charged up the field again. Like, this is now, he started outside of the top 10, charges up.
I feel like they're giving him a bad setup, and
it feels like it, that he's getting a bad setup in qualifying. And then they give him a decent setup so they perform in race, because you don't want to cost the cost him the constructor championship. But you're making him look just bad enough that he can't.
Max had a comment this past week of
6th.
I'll win the constructors by myself.
He might. I think I read over the weekend that Max could finish 2nd in every race and he'd still be well clear of the title.
Yes. Yeah, I did see that.
That is wild. Checo is currently in 2nd place, 99 points behind Max. Alonso is in 3rd, but Lewis Hamilton is closing. And then after that, Lewis Hamilton 121, Carlos Sainz is 5th at 83. Did you see that radio clip of Carlos Sainz where they said we're going to go to Plan B, and he goes, "What's Plan B? I forgot."
Yeah.
What is going on with these?
Oh, Ferrari.
Oh. But I heard today that Red Bull is throwing 3 names around for next year. That Checo's basically, he's finished there. Like, there's nothing he can do to save his seat after this year. So the 3 names, take a guess. Take a guess at the 3 names that are being thrown around for his seat. Outside of Daniel Ricciardo. I'll
gonna say Ricciardo would be one in there.
There's actually three other. There's 3 other names that have been actually thrown around of actually current in the field Formula One drivers. One might surprise. Yes, one might surprise you.
I know Palou has been tied there too, but there's question marks where he'll go.
There's also, I read today that they might, if they shift Ricciardo up to Red Bull back with Max, then they would probably try to chase Palou for AlphaTauri. But it's like, Palou, would he want to go there or whatever they're called next year? Okay, 3 drivers.
Lando Norris was just
that is correct. That is one.
I haven't seen the others. I just know Lando.
The other 2 that have been linked, and this is just pure speculation at this point, was Mr. Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, and there's question marks there too.
And then Alex Albon was the 3rd one, who is just,
I did see that coming back too.
Absolutely just killing it in a god-awful Williams machine. He has looked really
driving that car
really good out there. And my favorite thing to do is after he has a race where he finishes in the points, I go to F1, F1 TV Pro. I cut over to the driver view to hear his reaction after he crosses the line. And it's hilarious every time. He just gets so pumped, and they're like, P8, P8. He's like, yeah. Just gets super pumped, and it's awesome.
Well, we've heard Lewis Hamilton tied to Ferrari too.
Yeah.
So something like that goes. Leclerc, Sainz could be looking for a ride.
They
Red
both
Bull seat open.
Lewis to Ferrari.
Get Checo and Lewis to Ferrari.
Wouldn't that be wild if that happened?
Then we'd watch something like that happen, and all of a
Or-
sudden Ferrari
or
stopped
crazy.
making bumbles.
Yeah, or crazy, or crazier is that Lewis goes back to McLaren. Lando leaves to go to Red Bull. Lewis goes back and takes his seat at McLaren because they've looked really good lately.
Who was it? Helmet was talking to Norris's agent, but they also have other connections, and he's got multiple drivers, a couple others that are with Red Bull, so it could be nothing on that.
Yeah. I mean, these drivers are in long-term deals, and who knows what, they're very secretive of what they're.
Checo's through 24, Norris is through 25.
Albon's
so it'll be
25.
interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna see some seat shuffling this year. Question, and you know what? Good for Oscar Piastri, who's had a not so great start to his Formula One career. He had a really good. He
had a good run at Silverstone.
He finished fourth, almost caught the podium there. How crazy would that have been? A double McLaren podium.
Yeah, that would have been wild.
But I mean, it's just. I mean, Max, it's the Max Verstappen Invitational, as I've seen referred to it. It's Max and then everyone else. But it's like the storylines outside of Max have been really exciting. I mean, it's like Kenseth 2003 all over again. But
the caution flag at the end, though, made it kind of exciting.
It did. Yeah, Max had a great restart, and Lando didn't get off as quickly as I think he wanted to there. Didn't have as great of a restart. And then Lewis got stuck behind him.
Questions of, Norris is going to go to the Reds. He's putting them on. No, those are whites.
He didn't. But yet he still held off Lewis on the Reds. So
Hamilton was very complimentary of him. Some good driving.
Classy dude.
So of the three rookies, Piastri is starting to show some form, and he's been competitive here and there. He's gotten better as the McLaren's gotten better.
If he keeps it up, he'll be safe. I a month or two ago you couldn't say that, but I think he's turned the corner there, which is.
What about Logan Sargent?
He had his best run this weekend. Looked good in practice, and what was he, 11th in the race?
Yeah, some of the other cars struggled. The Stuart Haas's, I should say.
Stuart Haas. wrong sport there. The
Haas cars.
The Haas cars, and then both Alpines did not finish.
We'll see what Sargent does. He may be safe through the end of the year. But if he underperforms and Albon keeps overdriving and having a huge disparity, could cause issues.
Yep.
Then Nick DeVries.
Gone.
Yep. It's hard when you put a rookie in one of the worst cars out there. It's almost not fair.
And on top of that is DeVries. What got him on the radar in the first place is he filled in for one of the Williams drivers last year. I forget which one it was, but he filled in for one of the Williams drivers last year and finished, I think, P9.
Had a decent run.
Yeah, he finished in the points in a Williams last year, which Williams was obviously really bad last year. But he finished in the points, but yet he comes in here next year, has his own ride, doesn't even sniff points.
Some of it's the driver, some of it's the car. It's too bad it's not like NASCAR and IndyCar where these cars all have to share the same specs. And
yeah, I mean, that's partly what makes it unique and what people like about it, because it's like, oh, look at the engineering on this one. Nobody cares about a Cup Series floor because everybody's floor is the same.
It's fun to see the cars change from start to finish. They are closing the gap to Red Bull. They're getting closer. It's no longer 30 seconds.
No.
To Checo and then another 20.
Well, and Max had a little incident, broke his wing over the weekend, but they're way over. He's way overdue for a DNF.
Yeah,
I mean, they're like he has to. There's no way he makes it through the entire season without a DNF.
that'd be unheard of for anybody.
I mean, outside of like the early 2000s Ferraris, which was like, you look at it was Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello. It was like 1-2, 1-2, 1-1, 1-1, 2-2, 1. It was just ridiculous. Like, and they're doing the same thing, or what was it, Mercedes, and what was it, 2016? Was it
With Hamilton and
Nico Rosberg?
Rosberg.
They, yeah, I mean, every so many years you get that dominant team where both cars are just head and shoulders above the rest. And
I will take the one dig at Mercedes. They weren't complaining about the cars back then.
no, yeah, and that's what Max said. It's like, that's nobody, they weren't complaining in 2016 when they were running away from the field.
Well, where are we off to next? Turkey?
No, Hungary.
That's it. One of those.
Hungry turkey.
I'm hungry for some turkey.
Hungering sounds like some food. It's not this weekend, but the following week. So week between before we see Daniel Ricciardo back in the field. So I guess the question is, F1 Productions, they got to redo that intro. What are they going to do? Just like put Daniel Ricciardo's face over De Vries? They're just gonna say screw it, just put De Vries like.
They'll find a way to change that fire suit.
I mean, that's just crazy.
Or pull an old picture out.
They'll just put like a superimposed Ricardo face on it, or he's just like one of those. Maybe put the cowboy hat on. Just I saw today 100 days until the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin. I really that's on my list. I want to get to COTA. I don't care for what at this point, whether it's Formula One or NASCAR, but I just want to go to COTA and experience that.
It'd be a fun place to go.
Where would you sit though? I don't know. That's a good question.
I almost feel like turn one, watch him come up the hill.
Oh yeah,
into that horseshoe.
Especially after either a restart or the lights off. See everybody just pile into turn one. But yeah, COTA is on my list of places. I mean, it's a very well built track. It's very unique. I think they did a phenomenal job with that one. I think it's just a great setup. Just a lot of. There's just so much there that with the hill, and then you got that long stretch and all the S's through there, and then after
That'd be a fun spot to watch too.
The long,
the F1 cars.
You got that long stretch, and then you get through, and you got that technical area after that. It's just such a well thought out design, which we can't say was some of these other places like Las Vegas, which, hey, let's just put everybody on Las Vegas Boulevard and see how fast they can go.
Yeah. Oh man.
Hey, speaking of Las Vegas, you see the that incident at Caesar's Palace the other day?
I didn't see it. I saw you texted me, but
yeah. So apparently there was a in one of the all the Hangover references happened as a result of this. But basically there was a lot of shouting, and there was a domestic disturbance, and the hotel came up to the room to like, hey, like, what's going on here? And the guy barricaded himself in the room and said he had a gun. And
jeez.
Yeah, like his, I don't know if it was his spouse or whatever, was in there with him. And so they called, LMPD, Las Vegas Metro, or whatever they call it. Police comes in, they bring the SWAT team in. Then the guy decides that he is going to clear out his room and smashes his window on his tower room that's like 3/4 of the way up. And then they evacuate the pool, like one of the pools, which is right down below. And all of a sudden, after the window gets smashed out, Here comes the nightstand flying out the window. Then here comes the TV flying out the window.
That's awesome.
It's like some people can't handle Vegas.
Nope.
But the police ended up, I guess, kicking down the door, and they went in there, and fortunately, no incident happened. They took him into custody, but it just, yeah, pretty wild, even for Las Vegas standards. It was a Tuesday morning in Las Vegas. That's I haven't been to Las
Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah, and this guy's going to be staying in Vegas for a while.
Yep.
See, the comments in there were pretty funny, or it's just, the Hangover reference for the guy in the parking. Some people just can't handle Vegas, and safe to say that guy won't be getting his security deposit back. And
nope,
guy just found out what his resort fee was. Realized he has to pay for parking at the hotel. Crazy stuff. But Vegas coming up. Oh man.
So what? IndyCar this weekend, Toronto.
Yeah, we did talk about this last week. The Peacock only race.
You're not going to gain followers by doing that.
Let's just look back here. So NASCAR had a, really, NASCAR and NBC, NASCAR itself, outside of the Daytona 500, had a really good showing for the Chicago street race. They had like 4 million something. It was rain delayed, so if it would have started on time, probably would have been even better. They bragged that they had like 160,000 people watching on Peacock. 160,000.
I'm not sure that's a brag or not.
So you're paying $5 a month, 300,000, so it's like $800,000 worth of people watching for a expensive. Yeah, that's not good. And now you're going to show IndyCar, which there is far less interest in IndyCar compared to NASCAR. Sorry, it's true. And you're just going to show the race on Peacock. It's a bad move. It's a bad move. I mean,
what's the fan base? Maybe a quarter of what NASCAR is?
Probably. I mean, the people that go to the Indy 500 are there for the Indy 500. They're there for the experience, which we need to talk about that here too, about the big announcement from the Speedway.
Yes.
But, the Indy 500, like if IndyCar didn't have the Indy 500, you got Long Beach. Long Beach is pretty well attended, but outside of Long Beach,
nobody knows the series exists.
No, they don't. I mean, it's getting better. Like the ratings are definitely improving, but Iowa, they did a good job last year with the 2 days and the festivals and the concerts, but then you'll be there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
But then they jacked up the prices. And people were really upset that they realized, hey, this was really well attended. We're just gonna, here goes the prices. Do you mind sharing how much you paid for a ticket for Saturday's race?
Looking at it in the entirety of everything, it was $150 a ticket.
It's not horrible.
I was looking at the track and stuff, and we're sitting in the kind of upper level.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be right on the track because I want to see the whole thing. But for that, you get the next race, goes earlier in the day. Then before the race, you have a about hour-long Carrie Underwood concert.
Which is probably why your wife wants that's why your wife agreed to go.
And then you get the main race, the Homefront 250 on Saturday. And afterwards, you have a Kenny Chesney concert.
I mean, that's huge. Like, if you're into country music, that is a big deal.
Yeah, that was part of the...
That is a real... I'm not a country music fan myself, but I understand those are two very, very big names in the world of country music. Is Kenny Chesney still draw what he did years ago?
I think so. Like, I've more or less been banned from country shows. I'm not huge on it.
No, I mean,
to get a race and then 2 shows for one.
Yeah, I mean,
if you look at it, the race is $50. Kenny, you're paying at least $50. Carrie, you're paying at least $50.
That's a pretty good deal.
So
to go to
yeah, the
that.
ticket prices went up, but you get 2.5 hours worth of concert,
I mean, if
two
you went to
races,
a Carrie Underwood concert alone, you'd probably pay 80, 90, $100 to sit way back there.
probably.
I mean, that's actually a really good value. I mean, it's just the catch
Yeah,
is you have to drive to Newton, Iowa.
yeah, we're staying in Coralville, just right there outside Iowa City.
It's like, what, where? I have to look that up. Coralville.
It's basically Iowa City.
Oh, okay.
So we'll visit University of Iowa, check that out.
Coralville.
It's been a few years since I've been on campus out there.
I've never actually been to the University of Iowa. I went to a
I've
Big Ten school.
I've been out there
Hey,
twice actually.
there's the Antique Car Museum of Iowa is in Coralville. Population 22,318 as of the 2020 census.
I've heard good things with the event too, and it'll be really fun to check it out. It's not like Indianapolis where you can take in coolers and all that. You can take in a small cooler with water, but you can come and go in and out of the gates as you want back to your car. Just scan your ticket again on entry. So it makes it really good too.
The notable people from Coralville, Iowa includes Nate Kading, the former University of Iowa and San Diego Chargers place kicker. Yes, it was San Diego back then, kids. Jason McCartney, professional cyclist, Team Radio Shack. How many years was that? Team Radio
Ooh, that's
Shack.
a long time ago. That was like, so that's with Lance Armstrong.
Jordan Teagues, NASCAR paint scheme designer and sponsor for Emerling Gase Motorsports, Joey Gase.
I actually do have the Tour de France going on right now over. They're about halfway through it right now, and they're trek to Paris.
Emerling Gase. Hey, I actually met Joey Gase at in Phoenix this year. Oh man. So yeah, Peacock. Not sure how smart of a move that was, but
It'd be
you
fun
have
to hear the
to
numbers.
load up the Instagram feed that weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we'll have to, because I've not been out that way. So if I remember right, Rusty Wallace designed that track.
It's a wild track. I'm really interested to see how many drivers, especially after Texas this year, now open up that outside lane that we saw Jimmy Johnson just drive past people last year.
Yeah, I think with Jimmy Johnson, he definitely did a lot of good for the sport in the sense that he saved the Texas race. He if it was just that single file follow the leader race, we're like, whatever. But we had a great race because we had people running. Good. We had people running the high line, and he did the same thing.
Highline practice, or they did that highline exclusive practice to let them get used to running it.
It's interesting too with that is that Iowa Speedway is a subsidiary of NASCAR. But I thought there was this whole thing of like, we don't want IndyCar on NASCAR-owned tracks.
Oh, who knows? There's so many inner business workings. I'd probably get a migraine thinking about all of them.
I mean, when you trace it down and you trace everything back up, it's like, oh, this is the owner. But if you trace it, everything comes back to the same like 3 or 4 companies in the end. Anyway,
they do.
There was a stat I saw recently that like everything you buy at the grocery store traces back to like 6 companies or something like that in the end, or 8 companies. Like
then even those companies all get traced back to a couple bigger companies.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you go into this grocery store, it's either owned by Kroger or it's owned by Safeway Albertsons or whatever it's called nowadays. But
before we get into NASCAR, how about the big Indianapolis Motor Speedway announcement?
Yes. So
actually the Speedway, they are separate entities.
Museum.
The Speedway Museum getting ready to shut down for about a year and a half.
16 months, they said.
With an $89 million renovation.
Which is good. I went to the museum in 2017.
I was there about a year and a half ago.
So you remember when we took that field trip in middle school to the track, and we went into the museum in the morning, and then we ate our lunch while they were doing practice in the afternoon. I don't remember a ton about the visit in middle school, but I do remember when I went back in 20, like that was the first time I had been in the museum since middle school. And I just remember thinking, outside of the newer cars that they brought in and put on display, this place hasn't changed at all. And at that point, that would have been 97, I think.
I thought it looked pretty good when I was there.
I mean, they've kept it up to date. Like, it's not like they had drywall falling down or something like that, but it
is very good. But I'm interested to see what it looks like now.
It did have a very 70s like vibe to the interior of it. Like, once you come in, if you've never been to the museum, you come in, there's like a lobby area, there's like the gift shop on the side, and then you walk through the lobby, you pay your admission, you go into the museum. And once you get into the museum, I feel like you step back into 1976. And I think that's around the time the museum last renovated too.
Might have been just a touch better than, I didn't quite get that feel. A little more recent that I've been there compared, but I'm excited to see what it does.
I mean, I just had so much fun going into the museum, and I brought my wife with me, who I don't think, she was born in Indiana, but only lived there for a few years. Never been to the track before. They had they were using the road course that day, and it was like the Carmel, Indiana Doctors Association, rich doctors driving on, their expensive cars on the road course event. So we actually had to pay double admission to get in. We had to pay to get in, $5 to get in to see the rich doctors from Carmel drive around the road course. And then once we got in, we paid the museum. But it was just so cool walking in, and you see like, oh, look, here's the Marmon Wasp from 1911. And
we did the bus tour around also. We had some friends with us. But it's so cool to drive around that place with it empty.
It's kind of surreal when you're in there and it's just, there's like nobody else around. It's like there's 350,000 people there on Memorial Day, and then
when you see it from basically on the track and just looking around, you really see just the scale of this place.
Well, we've also talked about this too, where the half marathon in Indianapolis that they do at the beginning of May every year, part of the half marathon course is you run about 3/4 of the track.
Yeah.
And I've made my complaint, I think you made a similar complaint, is that these goobers, it's halfway through the race. It's not, they used to, I guess, use the bricks as the finish line for the race, but it's like, it's not a huge area. And you got all these goobers, taking photos and everything. And you're running through and all these goobers are stopping and kissing the bricks. It's like, move it, like, get out of the way.
It's still funny. The tour we did was the Kiss the Bricks tour, and we stopped and you could take your picture doing it. And like, I told my friends, told my wife, I'm like, can't do it.
Nope. Didn't win.
Nope. You have to win. And if all goes well, we're going to have a car there at some point.
We'll have the car. We will kiss the bricks.
We can do it.
We might be in our 50s at that point or older, but we are climbing that fence. I don't care if I fall and break my hip. I am climbing that fence. I don't care how old I am.
No, I'm tradition. If you win, you can kiss the bricks. If you didn't win a race there, no, can't do it.
Nope. So it's but
as cool as it would be to do. Couldn't bring myself to it.
They showed the renderings of the place. They're going to open the basement up for permanent display, where right now it's kind of a storage, temporary display area. I think we were talking about this yesterday. I don't think I've ever been in the basement of the museum.
I really think I would enjoy the basement. Because
I,
I've heard they have some really cool stuff down there.
it's I can't even imagine what they have stored down there. It's just, you have 100 years of history and you can only fit so much of it in there. They're gonna renovate the mezzanine and they're gonna have like an upper level so they don't have to change the footprint of the building. I think the building is actually in a historical register place, or it's and when you get into like remodeling the exterior of a building that's in the historical landmark, it gets difficult. I mean, the Cubs just went through it with Wrigley Field, and it was just a massive fight on what they're going to do here and change this. And it's like, we want to move the bullpens under the bleachers and make some change to the bricks, but no, the brick and ivy, that's part of the deal. Like it's just, it looks cool. I can't wait to see the finished product and hope to take the family there at some point. And
April 2025 estimated completion.
Yep, right before
I will
the race.
I will probably be there not too long after.
It's just having a legendary. I still say this, that we had a legendary facility more or less in our backyard. I mean,
Yeah.
it was 60 miles away, but it's still our backyard. And I'm just like, I didn't get there nearly as much as I should have.
That thing is the entire reason we are sitting here right now.
It is 100% the reason. We talked about, Kokomo Speedway being our true home track. It's a legendary dirt track, but
Never went to a race there.
I have never been to a race there. I've been on the property before, but I have never went to a race. And
Now, I did go to a lot of the dirt short track races over in Logansport.
I never did that either. And I've never been to IRP either.
Nope.
And it's just like, man, I lived there for 23 years and I never did any of that stuff. That's right.
The mystique and allure of Indianapolis.
Be at it.
It holds a power.
Yep.
It really does.
I flew in for my brother's wedding and I had a few hours to kill before my flight. And I said, we're going to the Motor Speedway. We're going to the museum. I haven't been there in years. We're going there. And I'm glad I did. Haven't been back to Indiana since. It's been 6 years, which is also pretty wild.
I'll be back down there next week.
Do you know the Xfinity race at Iowa used to be called the CircuitCity.com 250?
Yeah, that's awesome.
The US Cellular 250.
Who was it at Darlington? They brought back the Circuit City car.
Circuit City is actually a thing again. It's just an online only store, but it's alive in some form.
So that Cup Series, Atlanta.
Yeah. You know what? Let's step back. The Xfinity race was phenomenal. It was so good on Saturday night. You had 3 colleague cars with Allmendinger, Justin Haley, and I'm drawing a blank on who their third driver is right now. And they were running, every time there was a caution, all 3 of them would go to the outside, and the 3 of them were hanging together, and you're just like, one of these 3 guys are going to win. Nope. No, they didn't. John Hunter came through and won. And Austin Hill, he kept trying to make a move on the inside, and nobody would go with him. And he just couldn't make a move, and then he got overly aggressive, and I think it was actually him and Parker Kligerman. I don't think Parker actually touched him, but he got Austin Hill got loose, went around, and
I didn't get to see the finish. I was watching when he was trying to move on the inside and couldn't get the help.
Yeah, he was just he just kept coming to the inside, and they're thinking Parker might drop down there with him, and it never really got much of a run there. Oh, is it Dan? Yeah, Daniel Hemrick was the other colleague car. Yeah, it was Justin Haley, Daniel Hemrick, and Chandler Smith. Yeah, the 10, 11, and the 16. But the Cup race on Sunday, it was a race against the rain.
It really made some of the best racing, but at the same time, it was really annoying.
It's just you have to feel for Brad Keselowski because they said basically if the rain would have been there 10 minutes earlier, he would have won. If the rain would have come 10 minutes later, he probably would have overtaken Byron and won. And instead, he didn't. I think his winless streak is at like 80 something races now.
81, I would think.
Yeah, just man.
But what's up with that? They could have run another 10, 15 laps before the rain came.
Yeah, there was a caution from I forget who. And it was just kind of like, okay, we're done. We're just gonna cruise for the
2 cars spun, no debris on the track, and they just ran.
They just basically said, okay, we're done. Yeah, they could have gone green again for a little while.
But they ran.
Oh, it was Bubba Wallace and someone else. Maybe Ryan Preece, I think.
Yes.
And
They could have easily gone green, gotten another 10, 15 laps in. You know, a lot of people are complaining, like, well, it was a Hendrick car out front, so we're just gonna
gotta end it. Gotta make sure Hendrick wins. Well, the fix is in. Sarcasm. If you haven't, couldn't pick that up.
But that's now where I'm frustrated with the NASCAR officials. It's more NBC. 2 races in a row, having to go late at night.
Well, I think part of it too was like, who schedules a race in Atlanta in July? That is terrible scheduling. Like that used to be like that was the season finale at one point in like the 80s and 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah. Like, okay, having a race in October, November in Atlanta, perfect sense. Having a race in Atlanta in July where it is ungodly hot, it is extremely humid, and the risk of severe weather and rain is very high. Why would you do that? So I think I blame NASCAR for the scheduling as much of anything, but like you have to run that race at night because if you run the race during the day, no one's going to show up to it because it's just so nasty, muggy outside. And I can't even imagine what that felt like leading up to the rain. Probably people in the stands were thrilled the rain was there because they finally got some relief after that.
So what's fun coming up? 16 races. You got the 3 standard night races now. You got I still call it the Pepsi 400.
Whatever,
Daytona. Should be the July 4th weekend.
That was always something I look forward to is here's Daytona over July.
What's more American than Daytona in July 4th? Now we go to Chicago.
I mean, I enjoy so I hope they go
back. It was
great. I enjoyed it.
Southern 500, of course, is under the lights.
And then, you want to talk about a nasty human race if you ran that during the day. I forget who it was. I think it was Danica Patrick talked about like just some of the qualification and practice stuff during the day. And you just feel like you want to die after being in the car for like 20 minutes. And, you're doing 500 miles there at a place that's not easy to drive.
And then you get the night race at Bristol. That is one race I still want to go to. But here's the thing I find interesting.
Guaranteed fist fight every year at the night race at Bristol.
Here's what I really like, though. NBC gets the rights. Of the remaining races, 7 of them are on NBC. The other 9 are on USA.
It's not horrible. It's not Peacock, at least.
No. That's one. If I'm selling rights to my league.
Well, the thing, though, is when they first signed this deal with NBC, NBC had the whole NBC Sports Network, and they shut that down last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the world of cord cutting and a la carte streaming networks. Yeah, I can understand why that wasn't very profitable. But I still find it funny because they have all this sports content, and it's like, where do they, it's like, oh, we're going to watch soccer on Bravo. We're going to watch I sent it to you. I'm like, hey, Arca West replay on last Sunday, and I said, hey, they're showing the Arca West replay from Irwindale, which we're running a race there this season on CNBC, because when I think of finance, and I think of Arca Menard series.
Oh, it'd just be nice. Man, what if Stadium Scene somehow gets the funding and just broadcasts all the racing?
You know what? If I got the funding to do that, I would
The
not be
place for racing.
I would not be recording this in a converted bedroom into an office. My floor would be paved in gold. No, but yeah, looking at the schedule, New Hampshire, USA, Pocono, USA, Richmond, USA, Michigan, USA, and then they go
That's
back
Michigan.
to.
I should be at that race.
Yeah, that's right. You
Let's
did
watch
say
that
that.
one live.
Indianapolis is on NBC. Watkins Glen's back on USA.
I like how they have Indianapolis on NBC, and it's going to be probably one of the worst races on the schedule.
I mean, unless
Those cars on that road course.
Ross Chastain just completely blows past turn one again. Daytona, NBC, Darlington, USA, Kansas, USA, Bristol, USA.
How do you put Bristol?
That I don't get. Why would you not put Bristol? Like, it's Saturday. Like, who cares? Like, there can't be. I don't care what golf tournament is on. Like, bump the golf tournament to USA. Texas,
in your final round.
Talladega, NBC, the Roval, NBC, Las Vegas, NBC, Homestead, NBC, Martinsville, NBC. So basically, when you get into the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the playoffs,
when you get into the fun part of the playoffs, it drives ratings.
Then you've got Phoenix to close it out. I emailed my Phoenix Raceway ticket rep, and I said I'm going. We're going to be there in the spring. And I said at this point, my kids, they'll be 6. And I'm kind of on the fence. Like, do I want to go to the Cup race in next March? Like, are the kids going to hold up long enough to make it worth the money? Or do I just go and, mess around and the cheaper Xfinity race where the kids' tickets are free, the kids can go play around and go look in the Cup garages. I mean, that's a lot of fun. I mean, it is a lot of fun. I wish I could go see a Cup race, but as far as the experience goes, the Xfinity is fine and it's much, much cheaper. I'm getting out of there with 4 tickets to the Xfinity race and 4 pit passes for $100, with the service charges included, for $126. Like,
better deal than what I did.
Like for less than what you're paying to go to the IndyCar race and 2 concerts. So it's I don't know. I mean, it's definitely no Cup race in November, because championship weekend is. I was looking at some of the random loose tickets that are left. Ungodly expensive. But yeah. So Wednesday Night Dash coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna go right to Daytona. We're just gonna get that out of the way.
Checking out the ARCA cars.
We're still recruiting. We got a couple of people hopped in. Actually, a friend of Ian Miller joined us. So he's coming in and racing with us. So I think officially the roster sits at 15, but I think 3 drivers are going to be running part-time schedules. So it's like, I'd like to get another 5. I want another 5 in there, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. So $40, 10 races, broadcasted. The rest of the money goes into a prize pool. So what else are you going to do at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, week after that too. Behind closed doors starts back up. Another 10 race schedule and free entry fee.
And it's a good schedule too. I think you did a really, really good job putting that schedule together.
Same thing, 10 o'clock on Tuesday nights.
I'm gonna be like, I think I'm gonna do like the Dale Jr. thing. I'm gonna do one race. Just randomly pop in.
A little change up on the open wheel series. Got a little bit longer races. Might have one or two pit stops in there. And then two of the races, Indianapolis and then a season finale at Michigan, are going up to 250 miles.
That's gonna be Indy 250, man. That's
Yeah, if Michigan runs like it did this year, it's going to be hold on to your seat for a long time.
it's I mean, this is really exciting. I mean, I just hope you can get a few more
Picked up
drivers
one or
in
two.
and get this thing going. I mean, it's a free league, people. Like, we're trying to save the IR18. It's like, okay, like, yeah, it can't be broadcasted, but like, who cares? We're trying
The
to keep this
racing is still
alive.
amazing.
It's a lot of fun. Come do it. Like, this is our plea to you. Come sign up. It's a free league. It's open wheel. It's fun. If you've never done open wheel racing, this is the perfect place to come do it.
And
And
check
rant.
out our Instagram. You can see some highlights of the racing.
Who I walked in off the streets completely cold, not being in a race for 6 months and almost win the race.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah, it's something.
So AFSP 200, shifting the date to Sunday the 17th. We had some schedule issues we had to do, so we're going to shift them to the Sunday. No NASCAR on that Sunday, by the way. The Cup, that's Bristol. Bristol's Saturday night. Xfinity's Friday, Truck's Thursday. So you got nothing better to do. Come race with us. And if you're not on the iRacing platform or you don't want to race, fine, come watch it. Donate some money. ASFP or AFSP. Geez, AFSP. I need to go to bed.
Sure, that was beer and that mug.
Yes. Oh man, just I gotta remember to wash it before I put
Pour
coffee.
some coffee in the morning.
Oh,
Oh,
I got some leftover warm Montucky cold snack in there. Oh man, I could see your not exactly a racing theme room behind you, but you got some additional wall decorations there.
yeah, got the banners put back up. Cubs, Purdue, UCF.
Next thing you need though is you gotta get a Philips Hue color light in there and just
Yeah,
gotta.
work on that one.
Yeah, we gotta do the yeah, and like I sound like we're just kind of hawking products because we are, but I mean when you do this and it's just like let's see if I can get this to work. Didn't quite work.
Once I can get it framed, I have a big poster print of the Speedway with the Marmon Wasp on it.
You
So
know
I'll probably
what?
get that put above the desk.
You can see I turned the lights purple. That actually has a pretty good look to it behind the Oh, did I unplug my light strip? I'm gonna check that. Oops. But yeah, my Hue plays over here. Get the green glow there.
Yeah, once I finally get settled and get everything updated, we'll have this rocking.
Maybe I should just when we record just put it on the purple light because that actually looks a lot better than the just regular bright white light on there. Honestly,
Yeah, it does look good.
Yeah, it's just you got the reflection on the Bud Ice Penguin over there of the lights, but whatever. We'll get that.
It all works.
I could just do that there. Bud Ice Penguin. Yeah,
That's so great.
I think I told you this, but when I bought that, because the Bud Ice Penguin was like the greatest commercial of the 90s. And if you haven't seen it, during the NHL season, they had Bud Ice, which was, I think, supposed to be a direct competitor to Miller Genuine Draft, I think. And so they created Bud Ice, and they're like, ice, hockey, haha. So it's like the official beer of the NHL in like the late 90s, like the mid 90s to the late 90s. And they had the penguin going around being like super creepy, and he's like, hey, enjoying your Bud Ice? And it's just like the creepiest thing, and it was hilarious. And they parody movies, and he'd sing his doobie doobie doo, and So years later, I see a Bud Ice sign on eBay. It says "Beware the Penguins," which is like the little tagline from the commercials. And like, hey, that's really cool. Splurge, I buy it. Probably
Have
shouldn't
to.
have. And I'm just like, that's cool. And I'm thinking like the sign's gonna be like, yay big. This probably hung in somebody's bar 30 years ago. So all of a sudden this box shows up at my door. And the thing is like probably close to 3 feet tall. Like, what? This is like way big. And I'm standing here trying to figure out where am I going to put this? And I'm like, okay, front center. So the Bud Ice Penguin
Hurts.
was worth it. But anyway, again, frracingonline.com. Sign up for the FSP 200 Wednesday night dash. Behind closed doors. Registrations are all open now. Get in there. You will have fun. Everyone has come through. Okay. Generally, everyone who's come through has had a lot of fun, minus like one or two exceptions, but it's the exception to the rule.
Yeah, come on out, join us.
Join us. Come have some fun. You might kick our butts, but hey, you know what?
That's what it's all about.
It's what we do. It's we purposely set up Wednesday Night Dash to be short because there's a lot of us that just can't fit the time to do a 2-3 hour race every week. So we make them, sessions an hour long. The race itself is about 40-45 minutes. Don't have a lot of time. You want to do some league racing? You want to vary up the cars every 10 races now? Wednesday Night Dash is for you.
Yep. Sure is.
frracingonline.com/WND. The link is in the description of this episode. So learn more about it, register. Love to have you. So final thoughts.
Come on out and join us. Come sign up for the charity race, and your support. Keep bringing it. We enjoy what we do. Want to keep bringing you more.
Toronto and New Hampshire this weekend. So look forward to that.
The Crayon 301.
The Crayon 301. I'm thinking, okay, that's a ridiculous name. Like, why would you name it after a crayon? But it's actually a company called Crayon. Who knew? But I guess that's why they're sponsoring a race, because now they have brand awareness. So, hey. Yep. Speaking of brand awareness, you want to sponsor a race on Wednesday Night Dash? You want to see your logo on one of our cars? Shoot us a DM. We posted about it earlier this week, and pretty reasonable to have your name on a car. And, you'll get a nice screenshot you can print and frame and hang on the wall of your business, or, hang it in your room, show people that, hey, I sponsored a race. So thanks for watching.
Have fun building.
Yes, you do. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Take care.